1, 2, 3.
Kinsmen and honored guests, welcome
to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. I am your host, Davian Skeltez.
Good name.
And
solid name.
Well, I think so.
I shall call the rest of the team together.
And I shall call the rest of the team together, which is just my co-host here.
Just.
The world distrusts your motives.
Well,
I distrust my motives too.
Right.
So
okay, well that's fine.
I wouldn't say the world.
Android M.
I wouldn't say the world is out of line. It feels like it's probably on par for my motives.
Yeah, well.
How are you? How was your Christmas? Are we gonna do a catch-up segment, or are we just gonna talk?
Yes, I think we might as well. That's why I like to have segments for things, as you know.
I do know you love your segments.
I do.
What you think they're doing up there?
What are they up to? They doing up there?
Shut. What are you doing up there, Shut?
Doing up there, Shout? Well, what are you doing up there, Shout, over your holiday? We were off for a week.
Yes, and what a week it was. They always say you need a vacation or vacation. And often you do, because it's just busy with we didn't have 2 weeks off. We had 1 week off from the show.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess 2 weeks. 2 weeks since we've been here.
Ah, fair point. Went home for Christmas for a couple days. Had various Christmas celebrations here and there. A little bit of Boxing Day shopping, whatever, usual stuff. Hung out in Halifax for a day, watched some cool movies. New Year's Eve party with some friends, although all my friends got babies now, so they're all hardly in. Everybody canceled last minute, so we had 5 people here, which is fine. They were a cool 5 people. We had a good time. Yeah, it was good.
Get
good
on
time
with it, Ben. Join the club.
I don't want to. I want to be able to enjoy my time and my life. All the friends with kids are saying how one of my friends was telling me how she wishes she could have a constant thought anymore. She can't have a linear thought that stays very long, so they're always interrupted by the kid with something to do with the kid. And it's I said you'd be able to have that back in about 15 years. So that's good.
Lucky for me, I don't rely on linear thought.
That's true. So you're out there in the ether, out in the cosmos, in the unknown. In the fringes.
Sleep
That's
in
where
a
Davan
row
lives.
I don't even remember what that means.
Yeah, I don't know.
6 hours.
My wife's been sick, so she's been quite loud at night. So I haven't been sleeping very well either. So,
the old cold snore.
Yeah, oh yeah. And then I tried to sleep in the spare bedroom one night just to give myself a reprieve, and she was in the bathroom hacking so loud that I couldn't sleep either. So no matter where I go, I try the downstairs tonight. We'll see how that goes.
Yes, certainly the biggest downside of your wife being ill is it's disrupting.
It's how it affects me. That's correct. Of course not, but it does make me tired.
Did Santa find you?
He sure did. Did he find you?
Well, what did Santa find you with?
Well, what did Santa find me with? Some stuff that's going to come up on my reading recommendations, which is cool. Some movies. I mean, my mom gave me, my dad gave me some cool stuff. They gave me The Howling Part 3, which is where they really go off the rails. That's where they go to Australia, and they're the werewolves are were-dingoes. They're like Australian animals. It's very strange. Some reading stuff from that. I got a very nice pair of headphones my wife gave me, which I'm very excited about.
Right now?
No, these are just the ones. I don't even need this part because I have a different mic. That my Yeti mic that's right here.
Oh, that's very fancy.
But they're just sit and listen to music mics. I had Beats by Dre, but they finally died me, and I've had them for quite a while. So yeah, time for new ones. I feel like I got something else that was fairly big. I got some cool records and some cool movies from friends. My brother gave me some Flaming Lips albums, which are one of my favorite bands. So
You've seen them live twice.
oh, you lucky dog. I'd love to see them live. Do you have a favorite song
Put
by
on a
them?
crazy show. As they fly in the air.
Oh, it's kind of a deep cut.
What's that one?
Um,
I've seen
is
them
it-
do that one live both times, and they get real crazy during that one. Like, of course, they got people in costumes and stuff everywhere.
well, you
But
see the
like, they'll
concert
get
they did
people in
during.
these giant bubbles, and then those people in
Yeah.
giant bubbles will start like walking on the crowd. It's weird, man. It gets weird at a Flaming Lips.
I'm a big fan. I think my favorite song is "Do You Realize" probably by them, which I really like.
That's the one, isn't it? Do
Do
you
you
realize that
realize?
everyone you
Yep.
know someday
Someday we'll die.
will die? No,
That's
maybe
it.
we are talking about different songs, but
No,
those are
that's
my
the
two
one.
favorites.
I love "Bad Days" too, the one that most people probably recognize from Batman Forever, where the Riddler
Okay.
turns into the Riddler. And in your
Okay.
dreams, you can blow his head
Oh,
up. Yeah. And Yoshida versus the robots. I mean, they're all really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. It's hard to pick a favorite, but yeah. So I got that stuff. I feel like there's some big I'm missing. That was a big gift for me, but I don't know. I feel like that's a lot of good stuff. So yeah, I was pretty happy.
Yeah, right on, man. Well, Santa
So,
found me
I
with
got
this
some nice
robe.
whiskey. Nice whiskey. That's what I
Oh,
missed. Nice.
so did I. I got
Yeah.
a single malt from the homeland up in the
Ooh,
Highlands.
which one?
Bowmore.
Oh yes, Balmore. Yeah.
Right now.
I have a whiskey club. We get together once a month and drink
Wow.
expensive whiskeys. We all chip in so much
Very
money,
nice.
then we buy expensive whiskeys, or we get to try it, and then we auction off what's left. The money goes back into
very
the
nice.
club for to buy stuff. We're buying Glencairn
whiskey.
glasses, better whiskey, but we're also buying Glencairn glasses and
What's your
maybe
favorite?
my favorite whiskey of all time. That's tough. There are a lot of really good ones out there right now. I'm trying to because I'm trying to get back on a decent eating regimen, so I'm not really drinking too much during the week. I'm probably going to keep the weekends at the moment. But I really love one of the ones we had recently was a Canadian one called Caribou, which is really good. Caribou Crossing. It's got a gold little
Canadian
caribou
whiskeys
on
are
the
good.
top. They are good, but
I'm drinking one right now.
Yeah. For scotches, I really like Glenfiddich. I really like peatier ones. So
Bowmore was quite peaty.
yes. So there was one called the Peat Monster
was
that came out
delicious.
years ago that I feel like may have run its course, but I really like that one. And what's the one where you get a square plot of land in Scotland when you buy it? My wife got me that one, and I really like that one. Glen. Come back to me, but anyway, yeah, I think that one's probably my favorite.
Yeah. Okay.
The one with the name I can't remember for some reason right now.
It's funny with that peaty stuff.
Yeah.
Unless you're drinking it all the time, it takes you like a couple of sips to get the hang of it. The first couple of sips, you're like, well, that tastes like a peat bog. But then, like 3 sips in, you're like, this is the most beautiful thing in the world.
Well, the first one we did do. Do we do scotches? Yes, we did do scotches, and we did Glenmorangie. Oh shoot, what's the Wee Beastie Ardmore? That's the one that's super. It's an Ardmore one. That one I really like as well. It's super peaty, very good. Wee Beastie. It's from Ardmore, but it's a Wee Beastie. Yeah. But our next club meeting we're doing Japanese whiskeys. So
wow.
They're all in the closet.
They're shooting up in popularity these days, and like
a
lot of awards.
We got a bottle of the Hibiki, the KO, and just the regular Suntory Taki or Taki. There's not a lot of options here in Nova Scotia to grab, so those were pretty much the 3 higher end whiskeys to grab that were Japanese. So
you're gonna have to share a whiskey and a cigar one of these days, Andre.
I would love to.
Mm-hmm.
You a cigar guy too?
I don't do it often, but I do enjoy a nice.
I have a pipe. I actually kind of got more into using just because cigars are hard. Good cigars are hard to find out my way. So, but apparently there's a good spot down by that I didn't know about in town, so I'm gonna have to go check that out.
Okay. There used to be a spot down on Barrington Street, but it disappeared.
Yeah, I know. That was my favorite spot to go to too.
It was great. Man. I used to get cigars there all the time.
There is one that was the one that was like what was that place called?
Sievert's.
Sievert's, yeah, that's where I got my pipe at actually. But the one there isn't one that's there. It's like a half barber shop. There's like a humidor in it or something now. That's down there, and it only seems to be open sporadically. You can usually tell whenever they have the sidewalk sign out, but that one's not bad. They have a humidor room you can walk into and pick cigars.
Nice. Well, Santa found me with this robe here.
Ooh, it looks very Davan.
Yes, this is the third podcast in a row I've been wearing this. I love a good robe. This one's nice and heavy, can handle my lifestyle. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. Also, friends and family pitched in and got me this computer I'm podcasting on right now, of course.
Was that a Christmas party present?
Well, the rest of it was.
Sure. Oh, I see. Okay.
What else? Whiskey, like I said, that was nice. A nice champagne, too. Ooh. It's funny. So Tiffany got me a nice, the Balmore, and a nice fancy champagne from Champagne, of course, or it wouldn't be champagne.
Of course.
And then, of course, she bought them for me expecting to be able to share them, but she cannot. Because,
I remember the name of the scotch that I like. I really like Lagavulin.
I think I might have had that one.
That's the one they give you a square plot of land when you buy it. You can register for it online on their peat bog or whatever, and it's actually kind of a fundraiser to save the forests around there. So whenever you go to their distillery, if you have your thing, you can go visit your one square plot of land. They'll show it to you, and they'll give you a dram of whiskey for rent. Which that's funny.
That's pretty funny.
Anyway, sorry. So great whiskey. Yeah, you're not sharing it. I see. You're holding on to it.
Not sharing it because there's another baby on the way.
Oh well. I'm sorry I shit on baby so much earlier.
All good. Well, good.
So did you just
find more whiskey and more champagne.
Did you just find this out?
Well, she found out after she bought me those expensive drinks.
Oh, I don't want to pry. Were you guys planning on? I don't even know that, but was this like?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, good.
Basically,
yeah. Because if your future child finds this and then you said no, complete surprise. I don't want this kid. I'm terrified. You'll have to explain it to them then.
I'm sure the last thing any of my children will ever watch is my podcast. But I could be wrong.
Like, we don't want to hear any more of you, Dad. Shut the fuck up.
No, that's enough. That's enough.
Awesome. No, that's very exciting. Congratulations. I assume it's still early on, so you don't know what it may be.
Yeah. I don't know anything yet, but
and if it is a boy, Andre's a very nice name.
It is a nice name, but
he has a good name for a woman as well. So your options are limited. Your options are there. And if your child is non-gendered, they can swap between either one. Because there are some boys out there or girls out there named Andre. So it could be both.
That's true. It usually has an extra E on it. But yeah,
that's just superfluous. You don't need that, but just make sure you put the accent on it, like you forgot in the opening credit here. So,
do you really want to be like Andre number 2 to me? Really?
Oh, I'll always be Andre number 1. That's for sure.
Oh well, I don't know. Apparently, I'm supposed to choose between my existing child and Andre by the end of this episode. Andre gave me an ultimatum. Before we hit
You're not supposed to talk about that on the air. It was a
things that happen. You don't know.
That was a private extortion between you and I off the air that I did not expect you to
private extortion. It was a private, cold-hearted extortion.
That's right, and there was no evidence of this, so it's your word against mine. And I've never been arrested before, so I think they'll take my word over yours. Oh shit, really? I figured you must have been at some point in your life, the hippie lifestyle you've lived.
Well, no, for looking like I do, I've been thrown into cop cars, but they had to let me out because I obviously didn't do anything.
No. What do they think you did?
Well, I was a hitchhiker, so they throw me into cop cars all the time just for hitchhiking. But I was also jogging home from school or from work one time on Quinpool Road, and a cop come whipping out in front of me like friggin' Die Hard style, and threw me up against his car and put his hands in my pockets and everything. He just thought I robbed the superstore. Anyway. I'm I just left the work 5 seconds ago. Call them, and you make me sit in the car for 15 minutes instead. I'm like, will you call my goddamn work? But anyway, don't get me started on cops. hope,
Well.
hope none of our listeners are cops.
Well, there are lots of good ones out there too. So I think the fine people that listen to our show would be some of the good
That's
ones.
true. I was picked up by a couple nice ones too. I mean, they drove me out of their town to get rid of me, but they were nice.
What? They Rambo'd you? They picked you?
Oh, that happens all the time. They just don't
Really?
want to. Yeah, they don't want
They,
you to be their problem. So they're
so
just
they
like,
just
I'm going
drive
to
you out
drive
of
you to
town and
the
tell you
edge
to
of
go?
out of their jurisdiction. Yeah.
Wow. I feel like we gotta have another have you on my show again, because I don't know if we scratched the
Yeah, we
surface
didn't
on your
really
hobo
get into all
lifestyle.
that crazy stuff. I just talked about the goats and almost killing Stan Lee, but we can do another one, and I can tell you all kinds of stories if you want.
Maybe we'll do a bonus episode catching up with Davan where you just tell me all your
Man.
insane stories.
Maybe we should do one where we interview each other.
It's not a bad idea.
That could be kind of fun, like one question back and forth or something like that. That kind of thing.
Yeah, it could be interesting.
Yeah, think about it.
All mine
Anyway,
will be
I don't
sex
think we've
questions.
mentioned it.
I'm kidding.
Go for it. You'll get your answer. Yeah, exactly. We're here to review season 4, episode 3, Sanctuary, part 1 of the X-Men animated series.
Sanctuary. For the
What's that from?
Hunchback and Notre Dame fans out there.
Written by Stephen Melching and David McDermott, who previously wrote the episode Long Shot.
Oh, that makes sense.
No spoilers, but this one's better than Long Shot.
I really enjoyed this episode with a spoiler.
It's really good.
It was quite good.
Long Shot,
that was a fun one. It was all right. It wasn't as good as the first time the Long Shot showed up, but it was fun.
No. And directed by Larry.
Of course, the Lair Man.
Yeah, man, Lair Man.
The Houstonian.
Yeah, man.
I can't think. I'm running out of Houston. Jack Houston. John Houston. What are the Houstons out there?
Thanks, Sam.
Hey, Sam. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Hope you had a good Christmas / New Year.
Yeah, everyone pretty much knows at this point, Sam, now that I said it live on air. But, I'm not good at keeping that kind of stuff secret, so it's been out for a little while. Yeah. Anyway,
well,
enough about that. Me and my domestic life.
It's lovely.
Let's review this crazy episode here.
Well, we'll begin with.
Well, no, that's not how we begin.
Oh, sorry.
Previously on X-Men.
Play the irrelevant. What happened last time?
This might be relevant. I don't remember what it is. Let's find out.
It's not. I can assure you it's not.
I can smell him.
He's referring to Omega Red, so no, it was not relevant at all.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that was pretty much a bottle episode. That didn't have anything to do with anything. All right.
Quite. It was a literal bottle episode. They were stuck in a submarine at the bottom of the ocean.
Ding, ding.
Ding.
They were.
All right. Well, we begin the episode with seeing some astronauts working on some space stuff. And then they're suddenly interrupted by a beam, which sort of sucks them and their ship and all their armaments into this giant asteroid with various looking cities on it. We don't really know what it is yet. If you know anything about the X-Men, you can pretty quickly figure out what it is. However, after these astronauts and their equipment is kidnapped, absconded with. We land on the UN, where they're debating what to do about their missing astronauts. Apparently, astronauts and weapons and shuttles, usually satellites containing weapons. There's really going into the Star Wars programs with satellites that have, missiles on them. In this episode, kind of getting a little geopolitical, as we see all the UN, which is just full of people. I love whenever you see the UN, and not just like in Kubrick's Strangelove. Like when you see the UN and like anything, they're always just arguing. I've seen the C-SPAN clips of the UN, and it's never that exciting. But it kind of was when Trump was there because he's fucking lunatic. But whenever you watch this stuff, it's always just people yelling and screaming at each other. It's like, your country did this. No, your country did that. And
Your stolen scientists were all mutants. Know what I mean? Perhaps you sold them into Genoshan slavery.
What voice do you think that person's
The Republic of
mimicking?
Free Genosha objects strenuously to the use of the term slavery.
Oh, God.
So you see the Genoshans defending their use of slaves.
Object strenuously.
against the use
stop
of the
talking
term
about our slavery. It's very uncomfortable.
But then he says, like, but then right after he says, the mutant powers are a resource that like any other resource must be utilized or something like that. So he obviously commodifies mutant powers and doesn't really humanize the people who have them, just the powers themselves. Which so lots of interesting commentary here. Whose voice do you think that guy was?
Jack Nicholson is back.
Yeah, Mr. Nicholson's back.
He's
what
back.
You know what I mean?
He used to play pool in a bar, man, but now he's working for the UN.
Let me ask you something, Mr. Genosha. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? Yeah, I mean, or it could be Christian Slater, but Slater's not quite there yet. As far as appeal go, I mean, I guess he was a star in the early 90s,
they have a
late
similar
80s.
sounding voice. I never really.
I mean, Slater was always accused of
doing that. You think Slater was? You think he was doing that?
He was always accused of it. He was accused of it a lot.
I've
when
never
he was
heard
younger.
that.
Really,
man. I liked Slater back in the day, man. You ever seen that movie? What was it called? Pump Up the Volume?
No.
Oh man, that one where he's just like running pirate radio, man. That's why I'm doing podcasts. That movie, pretty much.
That movie is what brought you to podcast. Pump Up the Volume.
It's like kind of. That's a romantic notion in my mind about pirate radio back when you could just like sneak into like an old like train car with an antenna on top and broadcast.
But your range was limited to how far your antenna was or how big your antenna was. So
that was part of the movie.
Yeah. So this way,
I recall.
This way with the internet, you can go global off the get-go. Any idiot, any two idiots with a microphone and a webcam can make a podcast. And we have illustrated.
What do these genius spy catchers think they're
Oh
dealing
no,
with?
it's still
Winnie
doing that.
Wow, and it's still the same Winnie the Pooh one too.
That's been deleted for so long.
It's still in there somewhere. There's a ghost in that machine
program, and then reinstall it. Oh my god.
So the Americans are all angry. First they accuse Russia, and then the Russians get upset, and then the American president mentions something about that what you played there. The Genosha's guy get upset and defensive, which is funny because like when he's like, "Hey, let's not forget the Genoshans were blah blah blah," and what about their mutant slaves? And then like there's like the Genoshan guy's right behind him, so he's like, "Hey, we object to that."
Strenuously.
I'm right here.
Well, funny you mentioned Dr. Strangelove. We're doing that on the next Hold Up episode, actually. My movie.
It's one of the best. Well, it might be my favorite Kubrick movie. It's hard. They're all really
Politics
good.
episode.
Really? And you're going with Dr. Strangelove?
That was one of my picks, yeah.
For politics, what was Murphy's pick?
He picked that. Cousin Dave picked the American president, and Murphy picked Lincoln.
You guys pick some odd movies, man.
Well, we tried to go off the board a bit.
Yeah, but like I get like maybe one on the board, one off the board. Lincoln, yeah, I suppose, but it's so old. Like it's hardly a modern political film. It's mostly about his rise to power, isn't it?
Likely.
But still, I mean, hey, you got decent choices. Strangelove's an interesting one. I get it; it makes sense. But I guess
that's a Cold War era politics.
No, you know what? That all sounds fairly on board. But if you ever doing,
I've never seen the American president. The trailer.
I don't think I have either. But if you ever want to watch it, if you're ever doing one about media, like TV or something, I highly suggest. Coming up. Oh, network. Do network.
That's on it. It's that. I picked that and Stay Tuned.
Two of my favorite movies. I love Stay Tuned.
That one if you like.
When you record these?
Wednesdays, but for you we can push it because you do trivia on Wednesdays.
Well, maybe I can make it work. I do so much. It's hard to cram in more podcasts. I got my other podcast. Anyway, so
tell me about it. Yeah, you got another podcast coming?
Am I going to do what?
You got another podcast coming?
What, a third one?
A second one. Or a third one, yeah.
No, but just between this one and the other one, I'm busy enough. So, yeah, then as everyone's arguing, Magneto busts in. There's a funny moment when he... Pardon? It's a very cool moment, actually.
You will all remain seated until I have finished.
I love that the Genoshan guy makes a bold... Genosha guy runs for the door right away. Like he's like, "Oh fuck, the mutants are here."
Yep,
They remembered
that's
him. We
pretty
made them
funny.
slaves. So then he tries to get at the door. Magneto keeps it closed with his powers and uses the railing to wrap him up and put him back in the seat. Then he addresses the crowd, saying basically that they've all mistreated mutants and been terrible. He takes off his helmet. If you pause at the right moment, his hair looks like a cone. Because like they do a fun moment where he takes off his helmet and you see his hair is kind of like straight up and then it falls back into like the flowing locks. But it just for a second it kind of looks like a cone head, which is kind of funny. So basically he tells
good animation in this episode too. This was definitely the A.
This is definitely the A team. For sure with the animation. There's a couple of sloppy things, but nothing. And I hesitate to shit on stuff, even if it is a little sloppy because the time period, because the time crunches.
Did you notice that was sloppy? I didn't notice anything.
There's one scene where Beast was looking forward for quite a long time that he looked really off for a minute, but it was just something that probably nobody had really paid much attention to. And it's easy. There's this movie came out called The Menu recently with Ray Fiennes.
Just today. It's like a horror movie.
I wouldn't call it that.
Eat the rich.
No, there's no cannibalism in it actually.
No, I meant figuratively.
Yes, and it's not even really that. It's mostly like I think if anybody ever, and I don't want to get into. I guess we go inside journeys a lot in the show, but we'll do a brief sojourn into this movie. I loved it very dearly, and Ray Fiennes plays like the world's best chef or something like that. Or it could be that has this island where you got to spend all like a ridiculous amount of money, take a boat to the island to go to his place to pay like hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever for a plate of his food. And it's supposed to be such a great experience, and the food's so fantastic. But these people that are brought to this island, they're suddenly locked in, and part of the experience with the food is more. There's more to it. He has something to say, and it's mostly if you've ever been an artist. I don't want to like ruin it, but if you're in any kind of an artist, you can certainly relate to being underappreciated for your art, and people I'll never go with this word. Commodity, making something a commodity. Is there a word for commoditizing it? Commoditization. That's it. Thank you for the commoditization of your art, and how you lose the passion and joy for it after doing it for so long, and not feeling as though you're recognized for the true work and passion you have, and losing that passion, and then what that does to people. So the movie really takes that to the nth degree. But there's a point in it where there's a character who is like the aficionado. Like as a wrestler, it actually spoke to me because the internet's full of these people that watch wrestling and have all these comments about this wrestler should do that, or he looks like shit, or he's not good at that, or that move, or he botched that move, when they've never done anything like that in their life. They've never gone out on a ring, never done anything like that. So there's a character that kind of represents that. Like he's like the foodie who's never really achieved anything in fooddom, been a chef, done all that stuff, had all the hard work to make and he's sort of put in the spotlight for just being, and so sometimes I try not to, I don't want to be that guy, so I don't want to like shit on sloppy animation or something like that when I don't have the framework to do that. And I know on a show like this, you kind of have to, but I think it's important in context to understand that we are not animators. We can only be an outsider looking in. I don't know, just something that stuck with me. So yeah,
drawing. So I'm pretty easy to impress when it comes to animation.
Yeah, well, I'm not that great, but thank you. So we see Magneto, who basically has a great little just like some UN people say that they don't mistreat mutants. And then he shows clips from the episode. he has all the Magneto must have a Disney Plus subscription. Yeah. So Magneto's like, well, I have a Disney Plus subscription. Here's all the previous episodes in which you mistreated mutants. So you see the mutants in Genosha and the X-Men saving them. We see the Friends of Humanity blowing up the safe house for the Morlocks. We see what's his face, Creed leading them. We see all these different things about how horrible humans have been to mutants. And then we even see he even actually has some kind words about the X-Men. Even has the footage of Angel.
He does. He's like, some even tried to be noble and help you guys out despite your persecution.
Which is why
I didn't treat them very well.
The show is really good in that way. Like, he really...
No one's...
no one's cartoonishly evil. I mean, some people are. Sinister's kind of cartoonishly evil, and I guess Apocalypse definitely is cartoonishly evil. But Magneto, at least, they really. I mean, and Apocalypse was that in the comics, so it's not like it's different from that. But they stay real true to like.
Sinister's cartoonishly evil, but like Apocalypse has kind of grown a bit in the comics.
Well, he becomes more of a.
Sinister has too, but
character.
he hasn't become less evil. Sinister's just the worst. But yeah,
that's true. But we definitely see the Morlocks driven underground. We see the one mutant that touched the rose and it died because she doesn't have the powers.
Yeah.
We see Angel when he first saw him in the show when he fell out of the ski chalet and then got his wings. But he does have a kind word for the X-Men, saying some mutants have tried to help and assist, other than they're usually repaid by violence and being, and even show the clip of Beast being super like, perhaps you social engineers do not realize the function of mutation in the environment. All that sort of stuff. So Magneto makes a point basically that humanity has done nothing to help mutants. And he's offering them sanctuary.
Fair.
Sorry? No, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Some of the X-Men even kind of agree with his points, as we'll get to in a few minutes.
The missing mutant scientists and I have built a mutants-only asteroid where any mutant may live apart from humanity, free from its cruelty.
Yep, and we see a clip of that on the screen. We also see various people around the world watching this message, which I'll bring up later in some of our X points. With some pretty cool fun little cameos to some old stuff there. But Magneto is at top form. We haven't seen him in a season and a half or 2 seasons. We haven't seen him this season 4. Oh, we haven't seen him season 2, so we haven't seen him in the season.
We haven't seen him since running around the Savage Land. Right?
Yeah, season 2. So and he's in top form here. He looks pretty great with the white. He has the white hair flowing a lot. So he's not wearing the helmet that often in this episode, which is pretty cool. But he basically makes the thing that there will be shuttles at varying points around the world to collect mutants that want to come with, and he'll take them out of this asteroid where they can live in peace, free of human interference. Xavier watches this and is disappointed, thinking this may be Magneto, his own ultimate failure by not stopping and getting to this point.
I wonder if Ian McKellen ever watched this series, because I feel like his version of Magneto was really informed by this one. I mean, this is a pretty good comic adaptation too. So we might
agreed. I don't know how readily available it would have been in 2001. I guess Fox could have sent him all the episodes, probably. I would hope so. I wonder if he read the comics or did any of that stuff. I would hope so. McKellen seems like the kind of guy that would.
I'll get him on the show.
I would love that. Would be a dream come true. I'm a massive fan.
See what I can do.
But reach out to Ian McKellen. Let me know how that goes. So the one thing I love McKellen's performance. I just feel like at that point in his life, he was a bit old to be physically imposing, but they also stuck to him being
he's as old as he should have been.
Yes, they stuck with him being in Auschwitz, which would make sense for his age at that time period. It just
I never felt that. I don't need Magneto to be buff because he's not going to fist fight you. He just needs to have that presence and like.
I agree, but I do really like this version of Magneto, the silver-haired, like jacked, sort of. I don't know. There's something very imposing and regal about him with the cape and the color scheme.
It's true. If he had a head of like more flowing white locks, that would have been pretty.
Maybe
badass.
So,
but it might have looked stupid as well. Who knows?
I mean, hey, after that, he went on to do Lord of the Rings. That was afterwards, wasn't it? And all that stuff. So he's had a pretty storied career doing pretty big characters. But yeah, we see all the mutants clamoring to sign up to go off, basically overwhelming the airports. I'm guessing they need to get airplanes to the place where the shuttles are picking them up. Because, we see some familiar mutants in the crowd and some bunch of new ones and generic ones. That mole guy shows up all the time. See him there in the corner. Yep. He always shows up. Every time there's just like random mutants around, you always see him, which I think is funny.
He showed Tommy a lot too.
Hey, who do you think would play that guy if they did a live action X-Men movie with him in it?
Mole?
Patton Oswalt is my pick.
He would never be in an X-Men movie.
Could be. But Patton Oswalt would be.
And Oswald is already Pip the Troll.
I didn't say in the X-Men universe or in the Marvel universe. But yes, he is Pip the Troll. Although I feel like they may have missed a point by not making him Mole Man in a Fantastic Four movie. He would have been really good in that too.
No, they need a real actor to play Mole Man because Mole Man.
Patton Oswalt is a great actor. Did you ever see the movie The Fan? A big fan?
No.
Good movie. Very low budget, but very good. He plays like this huge football fan that gets the shit beat out of him in a bar by his favorite football player, and then he has this real internal struggle about whether he should press charges and get this guy out of the game or keep him in the game because he's such a fan of the team. It's a very strange, interesting movie, but it's good.
We'll play the casting game at the end of the show.
Okay, but I mean, we already cast him, so we cut back. We see the mutants are trying to clamor to get to where they need to get to. The humans are protesting good riddance to the mutants, some of them anyway. Then we see Xavier or Gambit going through a list of all the scientists who have been taken, and or the mutant scientists who are going up, who are up on asteroid.
Right. These mutants are scientists, not soldiers. Why they join up with Magneto?
I reckon they got tired of getting beat up and treated like dirt.
That's a great rogue.
I love when you play those at the right point because it actually saves me time because it expedites the story. That's all right. That's perfect.
Look, season 4, I'm getting the hang of this.
You're getting the hang of it. By the time this is over, you'll be lean and primed for the Spider-Man one, I guess, or whatever we do next. I guess we're gonna do something next. Hey, Davan, this has been a good partnership. I think.
I think so.
You know what your cloak reminds me of?
It'll depend on timing. Because it'll depend on when the next X-Men series comes out. Because we got to go back and do that week to week when it comes out.
Right. That's fair.
So if we have time to sneak it in, Silver Surfer.
Well,
There's no way we sneak in Spider-Man before X-Men comes out.
Good point. We should. Yeah, Silver Surfer's doable. That's for sure. Although I feel like it's a lot more of a niche show than one like this would be, or the Spider-Man one.
It's basically killing time for X-Men '97.
Yeah, it'd be pretty great though.
But I think we'll enjoy it. I think
it'd be a fun excuse to watch for sure.
Friend of the show, Brooks Wachtel, writes an episode.
Yeah. You and I did talk about, you asked me about a third podcast. I did have a friend approach me about something similar.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him again about it. I haven't talked to him about it again, although I feel as though it would be a good idea. No, he does kind of look like the Undertaker, but no, your cloak looks a lot like Cloak and Dagger's cloak.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Very much so. I didn't put it together until just now. I was like, "Holy shit, that looks like Tyrone, right? That's his real name."
Yeah,
yeah. It looks a lot like Cloak's
Tyrone and Tandy.
Tandy, yeah. But I first was really introduced to those two characters in the Maximum Carnage comics back in the day when they joined Spider-Man's side in that fight.
Yeah, in some of the old Marvel Comics Presents. The funny thing is, their solo books don't work. But when they show up for cameos and stuff, I always get super excited. I'm like, oh, it's Cloak and Dagger.
Their Hulu series would last for a couple seasons, I think, too, didn't it?
Watched the first couple episodes, but it was very much for teenagers and stuff. So
I know. I was disappointed because I never watched any of them. Now none of them are canon anyway. But I was curious about the Runaway show because I always felt that would have been a great TV show.
It's awesome.
Really?
Watch it anyway.
All right.
I think if they ever want Runaways in the MCU, they'll bring them in anyway because it's awesome.
Cool. I always thought that would make for a great TV show. So then Beast is
one of my favorite books.
Beast kind of chimes in by saying, that perhaps it seems as though the more they try to make a difference, the more they end up just fighting for their lives and not really making a difference, which is a nice little observation. I mean, we have had 3 seasons and some change of them, trying to make real societal change and mostly just get into fights with lunatics. So, they have saved the world multiple times from multiple various threats, but it's like that old saying, that Batman uses this trope all the time in their comics that if Batman didn't exist, would all these villains exist? So are they just self-perpetuating each other, or does one actually make a difference? So then we cut to Professor X talking to.
That's where the X-Men comics are a bit better than that because it's gonna happen. It's a genetic thing.
They can't help it in this.
You have to deal with it. You can't just push it aside. Yeah.
Unlike Batman, who just beats the living tar out of the mentally ill.
That's pretty much who he is.
I'm so cripplingly my face was half burnt in an accident, and I'm so crippled by indecision. I need a coin to make every decision for me. And Batman just shows up and punches him in the face. This will start saving.
Don't worry, it's okay because I'm also mentally ill.
That's right.
That's what he
My
tells
vice
them
is
as he
beating the hell out of
fumbles
you.
Yeah.
So anyway, we cut back to Professor X talking to President Kelly now, who
Yeah.
is saying that trusting Xavier to reach out to Xavier says Magneto's my oldest friend, he won't lie to me, because the other world leaders are worried that
I don't
this
know,
is a
Shell.
weapon.
We stay here fighting all the time. Things don't get much better.
Gambit's point has a certain
No,
validity.
that's what I said. A certain validity. So the president,
Well, no,
basically all the world leaders now. So validity to shop.
Whatever.
Crawdad coffee on down the bayou. So the president tells Xavier that they're worried about, all the world leaders are worried about Magneto, and this is going to be some kind of a weapon or an attack, and because he's taken all the space weapons that were up there already when he's kidnapped all these astronauts in their ships. But Xavier says he doesn't believe Magneto would do that, but he'll talk to Magneto. He won't lie to him and find out the truth. So Kelly gives him 12 hours, I believe, to get to the truth.
Yeah.
So Xavier and Beast decide to go. Well, Xavier wants to go along with Beast because he doesn't want the other X-Men to antagonize Magneto into a fight, because this is a peace mission essentially to find out what exactly is happening up on Asteroid M. When they're getting ready to leave, Gambit says that he wants to come. He wants to find someone that he thinks is there. He's pretty vague about it. We don't really know who that is. Rogue kind of teases him, that asks if he's going to come back, and he says, of course, he would never leave her, kind of thing, which is a nice little moment. I hope these two finally get together.
Follow you anywhere, Dasha.
I hope these two just finally bang sometime soon. I mean, we got to see. It's been three seasons of this. Come on.
They just got to get one of those inhibitor collars.
I know, and it's funny that's never come up on the show. You think just for her sake to go do something like a normal person and not be terrified she's going to kill somebody. She could have been with Bug Cody, for God's sakes.
Cody sucks.
You love Cody. He's your favorite character.
I don't love Cody.
You love Cody so much. You showed them your Cody tattoo. It's like on your neck. It's like when he's like turning into a brood. Poor Cody.
My nephew Cody.
Of course you have a nephew, Cody. Everybody knows some kid named Cody. It's going to be weird when there's an old man named Cody. When you're like, here's a 70-year-old man named Cody. What's your name there, sir, old timer? Cody Johnson. It's gonna be weird. But I guess that's the sake of the new names. So anyway, Magneto shows up. He's just hovering in the middle with all these giant butt plug canisters that he uses to put all the people in for transportation. Well, they kind of look like that a little bit. Actually, they kind of look like they remind me of something from like Dune. I can't remember what it is, but anywho, he has these big transportation chambers to get everybody up to Asteroid M. This is in Genosha, I believe. He's picking these people up. No, not yet. So first, Africa, I believe, is where they are right now. Based on something
somewhere in Africa. I don't even know if he's
based on the tire of some of the people that are there, and also a point I'm going to bring up in my my X points. But
you're stealing that X point too. All right.
Come on. Well, you can't have all the low hanging fruit. Good. Yeah. So they look like cups. That's what the little chambers look like chalices.
Well.
So anyway, Xavier and the group, Xavier basically makes his presence known. Magneto says that all mutants are welcome in Asteroid M, including X-Men, and they're welcome to come with him, basically. So they do. They get on the transportation. Magneto transports them to the next pickup spot, which is in Genosha. Although Xavier does notice that Magneto seems beleaguered. That's the clip. Magneto seems beleaguered.
That's a little bit of a spoiler there.
Magneto seems beleaguered by the exertion of using his powers to lift all of these giant containers full of people. While he lands in Genosha to pick up the next group of people, the Genoshan government runs out and tries to apprehend them all with sentinels and robots and ships. Some locals that are, I guess, freedom fighters in Genosha that have matching outfits that we'll later know as the acolytes of Magneto.
The irrational anxieties of the human governments are not my concern, Charles.
I I thought that
That's
was funny.
that
I laughed
line.
out loud when he said
He
that.
mentions that the governments are worried about Magneto. Every world government's on alert about him, and he just says that, which is
Now I have an appointment on Genosha, an example, I believe, of humans and mutants working together.
I love that line.
Yeah.
Love that line because it's Magneto.
Like
just
Magneto's
eating-
killing it this episode. Like
Oh,
Charles is trying to
100%.
get the better of him, just like philosophically, but no, like Magneto's just like just having the beating the pants off him in this argument.
And needling, Magneto, he's trying to find an edge, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's
I mean, Xavier makes a good point about him freaking out the world. It's like you've caused a lot of trouble, and putting a giant asteroid city above the planet is freaking people out. You get that, right? He's just like, nah, I don't care about that. It's like,
I don't give a
yeah, it's like that's not my concern. But yeah, there's your costume fellows.
yes. Well branded. I like a good brand as a graphic designer. Branding is key. So
Yeah, they have a strong one, strong brand there.
So yeah, basically the government shows up to basically apprehend the mutants. They get in a huge fight with all the mutants.
Magneto has come! We will be held down no longer! Destroy the human oppressors!
That would be who the man we get to know is Fabian Cortez. So the people he was transporting get into the fight, including a very, I want to say obscure. I guess he's kind of obscure X-Man Random, who we see quite a lot.
Random. Yeah, he came in on X Factor in the 90s.
Yeah, he's a very 90s character. His hands.
He was in the Brotherhood of
guns.
Mutants for a bit too.
His hands become giant guns. He kind of looks like Lobo.
Or whatever he wants. He can kind of do whatever he wants with it.
Yeah, he's got barbed wire on his arms. He's got all these brown leather vests with the do-rag and the white skin, and he's kind of looks like Lobo a little bit, minus the dreadlocks and the bike. He definitely is a very 90s character, and you can tell by looking at him. I always kind of thought he came out of the Age of Apocalypse storyline, but I'm guessing no, because of his design. For some reason, a friend of mine had the toy of him, and I remember.
Yeah, I was just looking for my hero click of him, but I think I just used him the other day, so he's in that bin over there.
So that group of freedom fighters shows up, which are led by this Fabian Cortez character. Then the Sentinels that were kind of hiding come out, and there's a big fight going on with them. Magneto is working on taking them down, but his powers he's getting used up.
It appears a local resistance group has been emboldened to aid Magneto through this confrontation.
He says it very well.
Resistance group.
Surrender, mutants.
Yeah, it was fun seeing the Sentinels. We haven't seen them in a while.
That's true. One of the mutants has a charging ability, it would seem, so he is able to power up Magneto, who to even stronger levels, basically. And Magneto single-handedly takes down all of the Sentinels and all of the guns and everything from the government in like a one swell swoop.
Sentinels are always a bad match for Magneto, even when they make them out of plastic.
That's true, but there's like 10 at once that he just takes out with the wave of his hand, as well as all the guns and everything else.
Yeah,
so he frees the Genoshan prisoners. They all jump in the transports, and they all go on to Asteroid M in space.
I am Fabian Cortez. My mutant power will heal you.
Yes, that's what he says at the time. And then when they'll get to the asteroid, there's one of Fabian Cortez's men there or men I use in a facetious way.
I like this line when the government comes to attack Magneto.
I come to rescue my people, not to avenge them.
Like, he's playing it cool, man, for Magneto. He is playing it super cool.
Yeah, Cortez wants him to kill everyone, all the humans, basically. He calls them flat scans, which is something we haven't heard in a while.
Flat scan oppressors.
Yeah, so
I think I had that, actually. Hold on one second.
It's a good line. The voice acting is
flat
pretty
scan
solid.
humans eat at your table.
His voice sounds familiar to me, too. Flat scan humans eat at your table. So, yeah, then we see the mutants coming off the transport. One of them, of course, is someone who Xavier recognizes, as we will learn a bit about her story coming on. What's her name again?
Amelia Vaught.
Amelia, that's right. So she basically says she's surprised to see Charles there and doesn't really want anything to do with him. Gambit doesn't know who she is, and Beast basically fills him in, which he does. He does. But then we cut to Cortez and his men basically swearing fealty to Magneto, bending knee in front of him. Magneto says he doesn't need that. He just needs hard workers. They don't need to be his servants. They just need to be, pitch in and help. Which is also...
He does not appear to be healing Magneto so much as recharging him.
Yes, you have what Xavier says about that?
We have nothing to say to each other.
Amelia, please.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Oh,
he sounds like Sarah
just
Michelle Gellar.
He's going to get addicted to it like a drug.
Yeah, which is a pretty quick observation. Like, literally, this is the second time he's seen Magneto get powers from, or get charged up from Cortez, and he's like, I feel as though he may require this, like a drug. So, I guess Xavier is historically pragmatic, but it also seems, like a little bit of a jump and also maybe a bit of foreshadowing.
Well, maybe he read his mind and also felt the effect of it in a way. Who knows?
That is possible. Also, when the mutants were getting off the ship, there was a long white-haired guy with a thin mustache that the Gambit recognizes. He says something like, Gambit, when did you sign up? And he said that he just is just checking things out.
Can't remember what his Byron Cali.
Byron, that's what it was.
Who's
so I think it's always
from the comic?
Yeah, it's always fun when you see those little things connect. So basically,
I propose a toast.
Magneto has a dinner with the X-Men. He also mentions
that scans eat at his tape.
Well, he mentions that the astronauts are working there as well. And just before we get to this point, Cortez takes exception with the fact that there are humans aboard. And Magneto forcibly says they're my guests. So do you have a picture of Magneto's outfit for this dinner?
No.
Oh, man. He's got it's a full white robe that's open. So you see his jacked torso with the hairy torso.
Good to see his abs.
With the high red sash and the white pants. It's very like Island of Dr. Moreau if Marlon Brando was shredded when he was in that movie, which he was far from. But it just seems very opulent, he's just all the white hair, the white robe with the red trim, the goblet at the table in his little space asteroid kingdom. So basically he has a group of acolytes, the human scientists, the X-Men, and some random mutants that, that one guy with the big eyes that shoots laser beams is there for some reason. I'm not sure what his thing is. Do you ever notice his face? Every time you see him, because his eyes are so huge, you just see him in the fight.
Peepers.
Yeah.
But that's Peepers, man. He's hilarious.
His face is always like he's literally, his eyes bug out and he always looks shocked. He's just like his mouth is wide.
Yeah, he's been in the comics a fair bit recently. They brought Peepers back.
Well, with a great code name like Peepers, I can't see how they could deny the marketability of such a character. Exactly. So while they're having dinner and hanging out, some missiles get sent to them from Earth to attack the asteroid. Magneto uses powers to stop them. He's quite upset that the government would go to these lengths. But as he's, actually, I think this is where the line that you played earlier came in, where Cortez wants him.
My Peepers action figure.
Ooh, he looks cooler in the episode.
Yeah.
So Cortez wants Magneto to strike back and wipe out a city or kill the human astronauts to show the Earthlings, who they're trifling with. But then Byron mentions that a missile was sent back without Magneto's permission, basically. Magneto sends a message, tells him to send a message to the president saying that it was an error. They did not mean to do this. There'll be no further aggression, blah, 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 blah. So also showing that Magneto is actually interested in this society. Like, he's actually turned his attention from just killing humans, which wasn't, I don't remember in the show that was ever his full intent. It was just that mutants should rule them, or at least not be persecuted. So, oh yeah. Okay. I have an idea for a merch idea for us for later.
Good. I could use a fresh thing of merch.
I designed these a while ago. It was based on Grant Morrison's comic. Grant Morrison's running the X-Men when Quentin Quire had the Magneto was right t-shirts.
Yeah, I love those.
I do have that design somewhere.
Did they say Davan is right?
They could, but I feel like Magneto was right would be a much better selling point.
And then they did Cyclops' right ones later.
The Dav ones or the Magneto ones are much cooler.
Yeah.
So so then Gambit, or when Gambit Beast are alone, Beast fills in Gambit on who Amelia? Her name's Amelia, right?
Amelia Bot, yep.
Yeah. Amelia is, and basically after Magneto lost the use of his legs, he went to this hospital, and it shows him kind of walking a lot for a guy who doesn't seem to be able to walk at all. Oh yeah, thanks, Murph. Murphy's chiming in with some comments about the strange ass
random brought him some
random
nostalgia.
action figure.
So
I also
when had that random action figure.
Yeah, I don't think I did.
Shot missiles out of his arm.
Yeah, I did. My cousin did, or my friend did. I remember seeing it at his house a lot, or maybe it was my cousin. So yeah, we cut to this backstory, and thank you, Murph. So we cut to the backstory. This girl was the nurse at the hospital where Xavier was learning to try to walk again after.
Well, hold on now. We learned something there. Yeah.
Xavier was bitter and frustrated. The professor had just lost the use of his legs battling Magneto, and Amelia was his nurse.
So that's different. He lost the use of his legs battling Magneto.
Did we ever show how he lost the use of his legs?
No. They don't even mention it until now in the show, I don't think. And in the comics, it's not that way.
No, it was, like I said, I'm pretty sure. Well, I remember it being related to when Juggernaut found the gem of Sidorak, but yeah, okay. I thought that was, I guess it's always seemed to be just because of like other X-Men stories. I think the movies went that route. I know they did in First Class, but I think they referenced it in the other ones as well. So, yeah. So basically, this woman helped nurse him to health. She was a mutant as well, but when he had basically, because it shows him walking quite a bit, like it seems like he's getting better in some of the montage, but then he's just in a wheelchair again. So I'm guessing the use of his legs are rather limited.
Didn't work. They tried it out. Gave it a shot.
You can see him actually walk a few times. But anyway, basically when he started forming the X-Men, she just wanted to have a quiet life out of the spotlight. And then he started forming the X-Men and going crazy with making this child army that he was raising. So she had enough basically and left him, saying that it was either, she'll never hit her, the X-Men essentially.
It's the nicest guy with an army of child soldiers you'll ever meet.
Yeah. The funny part is often when they show the old, like you see some of the old X-Men costumes, like with them training and stuff, like, and I think Angel was there. Angel was there, and he was.
That was a mistake. We figured it must have been because they showed him, but
and it's like super old costume, unless it's a different character, but it's not supposed to be Warren Worthington. We also see Iceman. We see Beast. It's funny because Beast looks normal, but like with the big hands and feet, but like human, like he used to before he became blue. So, and that's never really referenced either. But yeah, so we find out that she left him because Magneto has a lot of ladies in the old past. And it said that after the Amelia left him, he basically shut his heart off from love and just put all his attention into the X-Men until the Laundra showed up, and then Moira McTaggart and anybody else that was hanging around. So he's never loved again except Moira McTaggart,
except all those other times,
and the Laundra.
Screw you, Banshee,
and that other one, and a couple other people that looked at him sideways. So basically, he approaches Amelia and tries to talk to her, and she's not very receptive. Basically, he's saying he was trying to make the world better through the X-Men, and she just wanted a quiet life, and he didn't help anything. And his work with actually, this is an interesting point too, that his work with the X-Men made the world aware of what mutants can do, and no mutant can really live a quiet life anymore because of what the X-Men have been doing. Inadvertently, this is some blowback from his sort of mission, which I thought was an interesting point. Because, you couldn't just quietly live anywhere. If you have mutant powers, people see X-Men on TV doing this stuff, and people fighting them, they probably assume you're wrapped up in all that, and you can't just be a normal person. Which is
that's sort of where Xavier and Magneto's perspectives differ a bit as well, where Xavier's a little more proactive in that way. It's like if you have a mutant power, you sort of have to work for the betterment of mutants and that sort of thing, almost like a Starfleet attitude, work for the betterment of humanity. But like Magneto's just like, if you're a mutant and you want to just chill with your family,
you should be able
quietly, and you should be able to.
Yeah. They're both fairly fundamental in different ways, different ends of the spectrum, I guess. I know I've said it before, but Stan Lee always attributed them to the Malcolm X versus the Martin Luther King approaches.
But they've become their own thing beyond that.
Yeah, no, that's just a way to explain it to laymen who don't really know much about comics. But it's a fair analogy. Yeah. So basically, Magneto goes into his throne room, finds Fabian Cortez waiting for him. Attacks Cortez because he discovered that Cortez was the one who sent the missile back in retaliation. Cortez says that his powers. His what?
He calls him Cortez.
He does have a very interesting way of saying it. Fabian Cortez.
Cortez.
Which is a Hispanic name, correct?
Yeah, I think he's saying it right. Yeah. The character Fabian Cortez is from Spain.
Well, that makes sense. He doesn't seem very Spanish, though. I don't know. I guess
he's like a Spanish lord. He's like a rich guy and stuff. They've done some interesting things with his character recently in the Krakoan era.
So he uses powers, and Magneto explains that he doesn't believe Magneto is extreme enough, that he's giving too much leeway to the humans, and blah blah blah. He's not the leader they need. He disappointed him, and he renounces him, which is funny that he's like, "You renounce me?
You renounce you."
Yeah, he's like, "You renounce me." It's really good. Some very Shakespearean stuff going on here, which is fun.
This show is very Shakespearean. I love it.
It really is. So then he uses powers to weaken Magneto, saying that he just took back the energy he gave him, and that Magneto will be so worn out that his molecules won't even be able to stay together. And then he takes the key that Magneto drops when he uses powers on him, and then ejects his chamber, which seems off into space. When the alarms go off because this happens, the X-Men arrive to see what's going on. He accused the X-Men of jettisoning Magneto into space. And,
classic move.
Yep. And then the other mutants say they just got there. He calls them liars. The acolytes get ready to fight them, and the other mutants are ready to join in because they think they're traitors and have robbed them of their Messiah. And interestingly enough, when Cortez says to Magneto just before he sends him out, he says, "You're not useful as a leader. You'll be much more useful as a martyr," which means his whole plan was
great line.
Yeah, it is a very good line. Yeah, it is a very good episode.
We arrived here. We saw only Cortez.
Liars!
Liars!
I saw them jettison the chamber.
Snake.
Assassins!
Snake in the grass.
Assassins!
Vengeance for our lost Lord Magneto!
Vengeance for our lost Lord Magneto. Yeah, it's very good. Very, very good episode. And that ends our episode on a cliffhanger, as this is part 1 of Sanctuary. So tune in to part 2.
Ask the question, how good?
Each of us will have to look into his own heart and decide.
I'm not going to beat around the bush. This is a 10. This is a great episode.
Agreed.
It's very reminiscent of the comics of the day that it was coming out in. Like, this is, which I'll talk about later in my comic recommendations, but this is very reflective of the comics of the day, and like very recent stuff. Like, a comic would have come out related to this very storyline probably like as they were writing this episode.
It's very, very good. Very good.
Magneto's back. He's in peak form. It's a pretty cool team. Xavier, Gambit, and Beast. That's not a combo they've put together before. I like how they keep mix and matching the combos. And that's a funny one.
Yeah, very good.
The politics stuff at the UN, the Asteroid M stuff, how Magneto is just playing it so cool. And even in a kid's cartoon, he's not coming off as a cartoon villain. Even with an asteroid city, you know what I mean? That could be easily the most cartoony, goofy thing ever. Like in an 80s cartoon, it would have been.
But, for sure.
Oh, this is good stuff. 10.
10. I agree. 10 for all those reasons.
It's only the third double 10 of the series. This is a classic.
Yep.
I feel like this is an unsung episode. Perhaps it's not one you hear people bring up a lot. But
we should come up with some kind of a unsung episode, like a little song or something.
Oh well, all right.
What's a song about unsung heroes, or like something about like something, a dark horse? Come up with something quick. Popular song about dark horses.
Something about the Rocky song.
You He's not a dark horse.
No, he was like
We all
an
knew he was gonna
underdog.
win that fight. He had the song. This wasn't really an underdog story. It's more like somebody you didn't expect.
Yeah.
Being cool.
Yeah,
Anyway,
right.
good song.
Uncanny X points. You go first.
Well,
all the easy ones here, I'll bring your image back up for you.
No, I wasn't going to do that one first because I was going to leave for you.
Well, I'll do it first because we already spoiled it.
Yeah. So does that look familiar? It sure does, because we see a very brief cameo that they obviously just shoehorned in for fun, which it is fun, and I'm very happy they did it, of the Black Panther watching the ship take off. You just see his back. He's definitely the old school Black Panther. Oh, look, you're wearing the shirts. Wearing the shirt. Very nice.
I saw Black Panther 2 over our break here.
Yeah, what'd you think?
I cried 4 times.
4 times? That's excessive.
I think Angela Bassett should win a friggin' Oscar.
She was very good in that, yes.
Amazing. And I always loved her. I wanted her to play Storm long before there were X-Men movies. I would dream of X-Men movies, and I would dream of Angela Bassett playing Storm.
She would have been great. If they'd done the movies in the 80s, she would have been perfect.
Actually, the 90s, even the early 2000s. Even now, she's incredibly fit and beautiful for someone her age. But anyway.
Yeah, no, she's gorgeous. Yeah, so we see Black Panther hanging out there. I guess I'll make that my point since he did it, which is kind of fun. So that means they must have been in Africa, obviously.
Wakanda forever. And they both do the thing. It's like an X-Men thing because they make an X.
That's true.
Which I thought was kind of funny that they made the X the Wakanda thing.
Cool. What's your point?
Oh, well, mine is that Black Panther was in this episode.
Ah, we have the same point. I could have said that for you because I have others.
No, I don't need it. I have 10 points.
Well, then go ahead.
All right. So,
there's lots of cameos in this episode, so we can probably just do most of our points on those.
Well, yeah, I'll talk about some of the cameos. Like I said, we said
not all of them. Come on, save a few.
There was Tommy and the Morlocks. It was basically a mix of Morlocks and Marauders for the most part.
Yeah, we did see quite a few other ones though that aren't in those
one interesting mutant that was in that crowd, which I believe is definitely even in this shot. See that person with the roguish hair?
Yep,
that looks like Copycat.
Oh yeah,
now, I could be wrong, but it looks like Copycat, and she's an interesting character, Vanessa Carlyle. Well, yeah, she's in the Deadpool movies, played by Morena Baccarin. That's Copycat.
Oh really? Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll use a few in the next one. So when you see the people watching Magneto's broadcast across the world, we get brief glimpses of Mr. Sinister hanging out with the Nasty Boys. Apocalypse, who looks particularly unimpressed with his arms crossed, watching a floating cube with Magneto's face in all 4 corners. That was funny. We see Ruckus and Beautiful George, or what the fuck's his name?
Gorgeous George, yeah.
Gorgeous George and Slab watching with Mr. Sinister in some kind of and we also see Storm's sort of in quotes son,
nephew,
adopted nephew,
yeah, right.
Nephew,
right.
But also she claimed not legally son, but in a way she kind of raised him, so he calls her mother. So yeah, we see what's his name again? I always forget it.
I forget it right now as well. Mbari. Is it?
Yeah, something like that. I want to say M'Baku, but that's the guy from.
No, I think it's Mbari.
That's the man-ape from whose name they don't call him the man-ape anymore for obvious reasons. But the character from.
He was great in Black Panther too, man.
Oh, he's fantastic. I think he's the king of Wakanda now. By the way, is what I believe they went is where that's going to
be.
Because I mean, the Black Panther isn't necessarily the king.
I just like how whenever they get annoyed at you, they just start doing their ape sound at you. I'm sick of this.
I also love when I love how he talks. He talks about some famous book or something, and he's like, "Just because we live in the mountains, don't mean we don't know anything." They're very learned too, which I thought was very cool. Yeah, so all those little cameos,
and they're vegetarian.
Yes,
because he's just like in the last movie, he's like, "We will feed you to our children." It's like I'm kidding. We are vegetarian.
All right, what do you got?
But our children are not. what do I got here? Well, this episode. Well, let me talk about Byron Callie. Byron Callie was in the Brotherhood, like way back in like the second iteration of the Brotherhood, like just after the whole Quicksilver Scarlet Witch Mastermind version, and he was called Burner in the comics. Burner, Byron Callie. He had nothing to do with Gambit or anything. That was just something they did here, and he was never an acolyte in the comics either. So
Interesting.
I don't know why they just decided to use him.
Well, talking is my third point, right? Talking about interesting cameos. Did you notice? Did you recognize one particular one in the flashing screens of the scientist, the mutant scientist?
Off the top of my head,
Doc Samson was one of them.
Oh, I didn't notice Doc Samson.
He had long green hair. He had
hair.
long green hair
Yeah.
and the straps and everything. Yeah, I mean he's not a mutant.
Oh wow!
Which is why
no, but he is X-Men adjacent because two of the best X Factor issues you'll ever read, I've already talked about on this show before, is the two psychiatrist issues where he does psychiatry exams on all the members of X Factor.
So we got a little glimpse of Doc Samson, which I thought was kind of fun.
And it's cool. This is a cameo-laden episode.
Oh, there's so many.
All right,
we didn't even scratch surface of them all yet.
Here's mine. No, have we not? We'll keep going with it then. I'll talk about other things.
As a great man once said, the price of freedom is eternal vigilance.
That is a Thomas Jefferson quote.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that.
Well, it makes sense, right? Like that Magneto would look up to somebody like Jefferson, like sort of like the builder of a nation type of thing, which is what he very much wants to do on Asteroid M, or even with the world. So, statecraft people he probably finds interesting.
Are you going to talk about the comic story this is based on?
What, this very story?
Yes,
I might be.
Okay,
I might be.
Well, then I shan't bring it up. Where's that here? I just had this up. I didn't know it was a Thomas.
You're talking about X-Men Volume 2, the early issues of that.
Mutant Genesis storyline from X-Men Volume 2.
Yeah,
by Jim Lee and Chris Claremont. Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
so you can do that on yours.
No, I'm bringing that up in my comic book recommendations.
That's fair. I'll do that there. All right, so we did see a brief appearance. Here's some other characters that I can go through since we're getting there. You are correct. That is Copycat, by the way.
Oh, right.
Because they're looking at a list of cameo characters. Under the Morlocks, we have Glowworm, Urg, Mole, Scaleface, Tommy, Sunder, Ape, and Tarbaby. Tarbaby sounds offensive.
He's the guy with the eye patch and tall hair.
Yeah, but that term is problematic for a lot of reasons I don't need to get into.
Yep. Well, talk to Chris Claremont about that.
Well, I mean, when I was a kid, one of my favorite books to read was Brer Rabbit and the Tar Baby. So, I didn't know.
Oh, wow.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know what the Tar Baby was supposed to stand in for until I got older and was like, oh, that makes sense. And that's horrifying. We had the Acolytes, which we already met: Amelia Vaught, Frenzy, Marco Delgado, Byron Callie, Chrome, and Carmela Unacion.
Carmela Unacion. She's the daughter of Unis the Untouchable.
Oh, very nice.
She has similar powers. She becomes an acolyte.
The other mutants we see hanging around in the groups are Random, Arclight, Copycat, Kangaroo.
Oh, is Arclight there? I didn't notice her.
Yep. Peeper. She's the one with...
Peeper's is awesome.
Yes. Well, Kangaroo...
Yeah, Arclight has Yeah. Wow, I didn't notice all those.
Yeah, Kangaroo's the Spider-Man villain, which I think is really funny. I didn't know he's a mutant, though.
That makes sense. He's half Kangaroo Man.
Yeah. Blockbuster, Lifter.
Yeah, Blockbuster was there, yeah.
Shocker, who's a different mutant, not the Spider-Man villain. Slither, who's also another mutant. Francisco Milan. He's the one, the scientist with the little arrow on his head.
No, I don't want to do anything like JRE, Sam.
I don't know what JRE is.
Joe Rogan.
Oh God, no thanks.
Yeah, we're kind of we're like the opposite of that, Sam. You come.
I mean, I'm more of a Mark Maron guy myself, but if you want some of that, you can check out my other podcast, Sam.
If you want bullshit, go elsewhere.
I mean, I don't push a lot of stuff like that, but just as far as interviewing people go, I do that in graphic histories, which is really fun.
Yeah, like that's a way better podcast than just
Mijnari is the name of Storm's
Oh, Mijnari, of course.
and her sister Shani. So yeah, that's a big list of all of the mutants we didn't mention that appear in this episode.
All right, that was your fourth point, was it?
It was. It was.
My next one. Well, let's talk about the many asteroid M's.
I don't want to.
I'll talk about these in a little more detail later, but let's just suffice to say there have been 5 versions of asteroid M.
Mm-hmm.
First one was in the the 5th comic of the X-Men in the 60s. He had a little one, and it crashed to the planet. But funny enough, that comes back way later in comics in the 2000s, where Cyclops orders it to be raised, the asteroid M that they sunk in the 60s, and they make it the island of Utopia where they go and live. So that was interesting. But yeah,
there's
the other ones I'll talk about later.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm up. The actor does the voice of Fabian Cortez. His name is Jeffrey Max Nichols.
Okay.
He is mostly known for this, although he did have appearances, a couple episodes of Kung Fu, FX, Tech War.
Everyone's on Kung Fu.
Yeah, Tech War.
Tech War.
Cold Squad, Avonlea.
Oh, wow, Road to Avonlea.
Counter-Strike, the old Canadian show, Catwalk.
Oh, man, Counter-Strike's classic.
But one of the most notable things he did a voice on, which just additional voice work, is only one episode. But it's on an animated cartoon that I think people kind of forget about around this time period, because after X-Men did well, a lot of shows got picked up that were based in comics. We had a Savage Dragon, like a season of a Savage Dragon cartoon. We had a Max cartoon that didn't last very long on HBO. Same with the Spawn cartoon. We had they're just grabbing everything that was the 90s popular comic and trying to make it into a cartoon because the X-Men and Spider-Man shows were doing so well. Another one that was picked up were the Malibu Comics characters, which were eventually bought out by Marvel. Tick? No, that's its own thing. Ben Inland. Yeah, the Tick would be one as well, for sure. But no, it was a weird series. They had characters called Ultra Force, which were made up of a group of various kind of not really analogs. There was a new universe Malibu Comics put out. There was Prime, which is kind of their analog of Superman, and a bunch of other very hardware, which is basically Iron Man, and some other things like that. So Marvel, I believe, bought that Malibu Comics, and
they did buy Malibu.
I don't think they've ever reused those characters, though. I don't think they've ever popped up in a series. Prove me wrong. If someone knows better. I'm not sure. I've never seen Ultra Force.
I don't know that they have either.
It seems like they should
did bring one over, but I can't think of who that was.
Well, I know they took. I know Neil Gaiman sold them Angela from Spawn because of that. He won that rights dispute with Todd McFarlane. But yeah. Anyway, so he did a voice on that cartoon, the Ultra Force cartoon that didn't last very long. Only 13 episodes, one season. Very 90s, horribly 90s. There's Hard Case, Johnny Domino, a bunch of ridiculous characters. But Rune, which was another comic that was popular around then, Lord Pumpkin and Sludge. Those are the bad guys. Then there's Hard Case and Warrior Queen, Topaz. Yeah, it's very weird.
There was a short time where they released comics with both banners. It would be like Marvel Comics, and it would say Malibu as well.
Yeah, they try to run both at the same time, and then they fold in. Yeah, it's a very interesting show. I mean, there's overlap. Like Alison Court was on it as Pix, who does the voice of Jubilee. Another guy, people that have shown up in various Canadian shows did voices on it for sure. But yeah, it's a little time capsule for that glorious. It was right around the time we had the Conan the Adventurer show, the Hulk cartoon, the Phantom cartoon they tried to do. It's a lot of stuff like that. But yeah, so a little crossover with some more obscure 90s comic fare.
Right. Well, my last one, I thought it was funny that I think it's Magneto who says it, or one of the acolytes, but I think it was Magneto. It says Exodus, and we're not going to see Exodus here,
I always
but
like that character.
yeah. Oh, he's a super interesting character.
He's visually
They've
very
done a
cool
lot of
looking with the white, like the costume with the white cape and the
cape
skin
and
color and the
gold
gold,
and
purple. Yeah.
yeah, and he's got a cool backstory. Like he's like the second oldest mutant, second or third. Can't remember if Apocalypse.
Is there a Rolodex? Someone keeping track? Is there like a mutant?
Yeah, they
historian
keep
that's
track of
like-
these things. Celine's
Alright.
the oldest, but we're not going to see him in the series, I don't think. But I'd like to see him in X-Men '97, and I just thought it was funny that they mentioned his name sort of accidentally
Yeah.
in an episode about
Probably
the
unrelated, but still a nice little touch.
And he usually doesn't hang out with that group of acolytes anyway. He's more likely to lead his own group. Like he doesn't even as often hang out with Magneto. He like worships him, but he would rather just run his own group of fanatics. So,
Very nice.
yeah. All right, let's move on to.
Hey, check this out.
Check this out. Oh, I'll go first. Well, Andre was already talking about these. X-Men Volume 2, Issues 1, Issue 2.
I remember those ones.
Issue
That was right
3.
around when Andre was.
I had this poster. This was a poster I had of this.
It's right around when Andre was in his prime X-Men reading days. Remember the Fatal Attraction storyline was like the biggest one that was being.
Fatal Attractions makes me cry to this day. At least the Wolverine issue. But yeah, this one I have the fold out. The old, what do they call it? The gatefold cover.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Hold on, this is a big one.
Classic.
I get it all in the shop.
Oh, that's beautiful. You know, though, you actually know what that reminds me of? Remember when Greco did some kind of a
this stuff
thing?
is all over. But
yeah, they did those comics. Those comics were in Greco. Like when you order pizza, you get one of those comics.
You sure it wasn't Pizza Hut?
It might be Pizza Hut. I think it was Pizza Hut. You think you're right?
I'm pretty sure it was Pizza Hut. Because I never went to Greco, but I used to go to Pizza Hut for the X-Men. So.
Yeah, Pizza Hut makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, but this is a big Asteroid M story. Magneto's. This is like how we said in this episode, how it's a great return for Magneto. This is the same thing because he had been gone for quite a while, and like the last we had seen of him, he had sort of been a good guy. Like he led the New Mutants for a while and that sort of stuff. So this is him coming back in like fierce Magneto style. You know, whoops, I'm trying to
fierce Magneto style.
Yeah, man, like look at that. There's the Magneto you love.
That's
long hair.
The ripped hairy chest.
Yeah,
listen, as a man with a hairy chest myself, I must say, I'm fishing. If the villain has a hairy chest, I'm in.
And the other thing, I got one more recommendation.
Oh, jeez.
Just because you like it so much, take it off the wall here for a sec. But Asteroid M, the the fourth iteration of Asteroid M, is in this Grant Morrison story, Planet X.
The best.
I mean, it has some issues. I mean,
the best.
Remove Zorn from these stories, and they get along.
You have a thing within you that makes you hate things that other people like.
No, I don't like Zorn. No,
Zorn's
I'm not the
great.
only one who doesn't like Zorn.
And in the defense of that series, there is no Zorn in that.
A lot of people don't like Zorn.
Zorn is not.
No, you're wrong. It's Zorn pretending to be Magneto.
That was retconned later. That does not count for this. If you read that story as one cohesive, all of Morrison's run,
it's
and ended where Morrison ended it, there is no Zorn.
It's even worse.
Zorn was Magneto in disguise the whole time, and it was amazing.
That's worse. That's why they had to retcon it, because that's terrible.
Why is it terrible?
So terrible. How in a friggin' house full of telepaths does Magneto hide the fact that he's Magneto?
How does Magneto do it normally? He wears his Magneto helmet. It's just the same thing in the
Zorn
Zorn
his
helmet.
Magneto helmet.
It's in the Zorn helmet. Yes.
No.
Yes, it is, dude. It's like
they show Zorn do Zorn things that Magneto can't do.
They explain all of that in it. They explain all of that
badly.
No, it's Kick. It's the drug Kick that gives you other mutant powers. It's explained all.
It doesn't give you other mutant powers. It enhances
does.
your powers. powers.
No, it can give
enhance
non-mutants
obscure
powers too, right? It's brought
Oh
up.
yeah, they get like temporary powers for like an hour or something, right?
Yeah, well, I think it's
Then
all
kick-
explained within. I have to go reread it, but I think it's all explained within the story. Anyway, I'm not going to defend that forever. I just know that it is the best, one of, if not the best X-Men stories ever. Because Grant Morrison is my god, and I love him. He can do no wrong.
Only
in my eyes.
Andre and Grant Morrison are smart enough to appreciate Grant Morrison comics on that level.
No, there's a lot of other people that agree with me. My turn.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those rare instances in which I actually suggest an X-Men book, which is very rare for me. But based on the recommendation, based on the recommendation of former guest of the show and on my show and this show, David Cutler, I put on my Christmas list both volumes of the Epic Collection Generation X.
Oh,
series.
awesome!
So mom got me both. Well, mom and dad got me both of the volumes. So I think this encompasses the whole Scott Young Generation X story, right?
Yeah, it's not. Oh, yeah, it's not low.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's both. It's volume 1 and 2, 1994 to 97. 94 to 95. Yeah, 94 to 97. Yep. So
does it have the Summer Spectacular?
It must. It has
Whatever
everything
it
else.
was.
It has Uncanny X-Men 316, 318, X-Men 36, 37, Generation X 1 and 9, Wolverine 94, Generation X Collector's Preview, and Generation X Ashcan Edition, which might be the one you're talking about from Wizard. Wizard put those out. Generation X 10 to 23, Annuals 95 96, Generation X San Diego Preview, and material from Incredible Hulk Annual number 97.
It might have been an annual, but they just called it something different.
Yeah, so not Scott Young, Scott Lobdell.
Scott Lobdell.
Yeah. So it's got the
Scott Young is the guy who does a lot of the more cartoon.
A lot of the animated, yeah, he's really cool too.
I Hate Fairyland, which I have the first few volumes of in single
that's a fun
issue.
comic. But yeah, so I've only read a little bit of it, but it's very good. And big thanks to Dave for recommending it. I literally just was like, well, that looks like some fun 90s X-Men stuff that I could dip my toe into that I had read in forever. So boom. I was always kind of fascinated with this character. The guy with the
Chamber
face. Yeah. I always thought he was very
cool. Yeah, Chamber is a cool character.
Especially when they did the No More Mutants thing and he lost his powers and just had a big hole where his face was.
Well, that's what he has, yeah.
So
his face was.
Anyway, yeah. So very cool stuff. I mean, they're not cheap collections. I think they're like $50 each. So mom really went above and beyond grabbing them for me. But yeah, they're fantastic. Check them out. Isabel did well this year.
Good job, Isabel.
And Carl, my father as well.
And Carol, you did too.
Realistically, I don't assume Dad had a big hand in picking what I got for Christmas, but he was certainly there, and I'm sure his money contributed.
Throwing some shade at Dad.
No shade. Dad's great.
All right. Everyone's favorite segment, or at least Andre's. What's your remote taking us to tonight?
I feel like I did this one already. I'm almost sure I did now.
Really?
Yeah.
We haven't had that many versions of this.
Did I do Nightbreed already?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Did you?
It's another movie about a group of outsiders trying to find a sanctuary away from humanity. This would be one of the few movies directed by Clive Barker. This is the one that basically had him stop directing because working with the studio and all that sort of stuff sort of jaded him. It contains one of my favorite directors, David Cronenberg, in an acting role, which is rare for him. But yeah,
he's in Star Trek Discovery.
He is, yeah. He's also in Jason X, oddly enough. So yeah, as you can see in the screen work, you see some of these people. There are these groups of creatures called the Nightbreed, who are the Cabal, rather, who are creatures, monsters that live among humans, but are in disguise. You don't really know you are one until you die, I believe. It's been a while since I've watched this entirely, but then you come back as your fully awakened form. A character who is having mental issues. His psychiatrist is sort of seems to be manipulating him, and he
like being mortal,
kind of. So then he runs off and joins this, goes to this place called Midian, which is made up of these Nightbreed that are in hiding. And it's one of those movies where, it very much like the mutant allegory, that where the monsters are actually the heroes, and the real enemy is humanity. So definitely bleeds in with the themes of this story. The desire to get away from the society that is prejudiced towards you and that scares you and is frightened of you, and start your own world. So these creatures do just that, and look for a new leader to kind of help them.
They're looking
move
for
on
their
to the next
Magneto.
stage. Yeah, essentially, but nice one. Danny Elfman did the score. I mean, Clive Barker has a very unique vision when he directs. He's only directed, I believe, this movie and maybe one other.
Didn't he do Hellraiser, or did he not direct that?
Yes, the first one. He directed the first one.
Yeah,
but he did not direct Candyman. That was Bernard Rose. So he directed. There are others that were a lot of based on his work, but only a few that were actually directed by Barker. So this is one of them, and it's a good movie. It's a really good movie. It's kind of fun. I suggest checking out there's various cuts of it available online. This one has the director's cut, which has like 40 more minutes added in.
Wow.
So it's a much longer film if you watch that version, but much more definitive as far as what his final vision was of this movie. So Nightbreed, check it out. Came out in the 80s, I believe, late 80s. Where's it at? 1990. So it fits totally on brand.
Totally on brand. Yeah, right. That's funny. I'm glad you mentioned that too, because that's something I wanted to mention about this episode. Is it kind of brought back into focus that humanity is the real villain when it comes to the X-Men. Like, they haven't really talked about that in a little while. There's been more outlandish villain
themselves, because Fabian Cortez is obviously
true.
Psychotic radical that wants to kill all the humans. But his life was spent probably being exploited by them, so I can't say he's wrong.
Can't say that he's wrong. All right, moving on.
What were you doing? Playing with matches?
Lay it on
us. It's 16-bit gaming with Super Nintendo Skelhorn. As you all probably know, that's a Simpsons reference, so check out my Simpsons book. We'll have a lot more Simpsons references. I'm going to give Sega Genesis a little love tonight, because the Sega Genesis 6-pack, if everyone's not aware of the Sega
that's
Genesis
a deep cut.
6-pack,
Holy crap, that's funny.
It's a single Sega Genesis cartridge that has Sonic the Hedgehog, classic game. Golden Axe, classic game.
Oh, I used to love Golden Axe.
Many a quarter got spent on that at the arcades.
Mm-hmm.
Streets of Rage, a good fighter, though not multiplayer, so that kind of sucks for a beat 'em up. You really want to double it up on a beat 'em up. Revenge of Shinobi is on there.
He's back.
You want to beat him up?
Shinobi's back.
It's funny though, like that's the first Shinobi game. The first Shinobi game is called Revenge of Shinobi. There's also a puzzle game on there, Columns. It's no Tetris,
which is just Tetris.
Right. And Super Hang On, which is like a bike riding game. It's not my favorite, like a motorbike game, but great. It's all one cartridge. You can't go wrong. I mean, just for Sonic, Golden Axe, and
the economy alone is well worth it.
Yeah. I mean, people love Shinobi. I never really got super into Shinobi, but
I was more of a Ninja Gaiden.
Many a quarter. Ninja Gaiden, man.
Used to love that game.
Ninja Gaiden is friggin' hard. It's hard.
The second one, I could never beat it.
Oh, you beat the first one?
I think I did. I can't remember. It's been a while.
Well, that's impressive because it's friggin' hard. All right. So let's play the game we suggested.
The game?
We might play the game. Where is my cool theme song for that? I'm going to have to make one up. All right. I'm going to choose this one. Bam. I thought I had a specific theme song for this segment, but whatever. It's expert casting. All right, I got one for you. Gary Oldman.
Oh, wow.
This is the game, by the way, people who haven't heard an episode where we've done this before, where we throw actors or actresses at each other, and we have to cast them as X-Men related characters in the MCU.
So Oldman would have. I don't think he'd be at the current age he's at. I don't think he'd be very physically imposing. So he feels
It's not
like
X-Men, but that's who you need to play Mole Man. You need a guy like that to play.
no, he's not Mole Man.
That kind of an actor. That kind of an actor.
Who would he be? Do we already cast Mr. Sinister?
We usually cast him like every time we do this. Like, I'm pretty sure I made Daniel Craig Mr. Sinister in one. And that's
I made him Magneto. I would have said he'd be. I think he's a better Magneto.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Sorry. Oh God,
We do lean pretty hard into Sinister.
Who? Oh, you know what? His voice, not him as an actor. Maybe motion capture
in the X-Men '97.
No, I mean I could, but I think as a if he were to be in live action, it would be as a voice. And if it's going to be related to the X-Men, I think he would be Onslaught.
Oh my God, that's not bad because you would need somebody.
He's got a gravitas with his voice.
A really
he can
good actor to not make that cheesy as hell.
Yep, and also to do with the
I like that
voice.
Andre.
Yeah, I think he'd be good Onslaught.
MZ says, sorry if we mentioned it, but the voice actor Fabian Cortez is also the voice actor of Cable. Blew my mind.
Oh,
no, it's not.
Is it?
No, it's not. No, Lawrence Bain's the voice of Cable.
Oh no! Fight him!
Go check
fight him!
MZ.
Fight him,
yeah,
MZ.
We're gonna fight him with that.
All right.
MZ thought casting Sinister was
it could be every week.
Very
Sinister. All right, well, I get one for you then.
All right.
Because I forgot to mention in my movie recommendations, I sometimes throw off a movie I've just recently seen that I dearly loved, and I did see Avatar, which is fine. It's just the first one again with water. It was all right. I liked it. It's fine. It's a spectacle. It's fine. But the other movie I saw that day, which I deeply loved, was Darren Aronofsky's new movie, The Whale.
I haven't seen that yet, but I'll
very touching.
Fraser anywhere.
Very touching, very sad. I used to say I never really understood why someone could let themselves get that big. But then you watch a movie like that, and when the guy's just like eating himself to death, you're like, that could be drugs, that could be alcohol, that could be anything else besides food. Mm-hmm. It's just food is the vice that was chosen. And it's kind of relevant to something else that happened in the story, but very good. But based on that,
are you making me cast Brendan Fraser?
I'm making you cast Brendan Fraser.
Oh, this is great. Oh, I want to make this good.
He's got to be in a good superhero movie since they canceled his Firefly debut in Batgirl, which I'm sure was great because he was so good in the world.
Yeah, he's in that other DC show or whatever.
Doom Patrol, which I gotta watch because I'm a huge fan because it's based on Grant Morrison's story in the Doom Patrol, and I never got around to watching that.
Okay,
just a lot of shows.
Brendan Fraser. See, now Brendan Fraser's totally different than Encino Man's Brendan Fraser.
True, you gotta cast current Brendan Fraser.
I have to count current Brendan Fraser.
I think I know who I cast him as actually. See what you say.
Oh, that's interesting. That's so interesting. God. Oh, this is really hard. Yeah, no, well done. Well done. See, I would cast him probably as Sebastian Shaw.
Interesting.
I think he would play it better than Kevin Bacon did. I didn't really like his Shaw.
Yeah, he was a very different character than one of the characters. Really?
Fraser, Murphy says.
Fraser?
Yeah, it is Fraser. We've been saying it wrong all these years.
Oh, I'm sorry to have offended you, Murphy. I think if Brendan Fraser was here.
But okay, because we can get X-Men adjacent, though.
Sure.
I would like him to play James McDonald Hudson. I take back my Sebastian Shaw.
You want him to play Guardian
of Alpha Flight. Yes,
you're not even going to cast a Canadian to do that?
Brendan Fraser, a Canadian.
Oh, right, he is Canadian, isn't he?
He is. He played Dudley Do-Right.
No, well, his parents were Canadian. He wasn't born in Canada.
No, he's born in Europe or something. But then he grew up.
He was born in Indiana.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, Indianapolis.
Mm. Well, he's
Oh.
Canadian.
I can see that. Although I feel like in his current, I think his body's kind of not broken, but I don't think he can get back in the shape it was back in the day because of injuries he had to his back and stuff. So I don't know if he wanted to
Yeah,
do
and
that.
I was trying to think of that as well, but I couldn't really think of anyone who just sits down all the time.
No, he doesn't have to sit down. He it's not about why. I think it's just like to get like as shredded as he was. I don't think those days are a bit behind him. But
Yeah, I mean, I guess Guardian's pretty shredded. I guess
it's fine. That's fair game.
Shaw's shredded too. I mean, they're comic characters, so they're kind of all
Yeah.
shredded.
Yeah, I would cast him as Bolivar Trask.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be fine as Bolivar Trask.
Yeah, but give him
he could also play Peepers.
Oh, he could be Peepers.
Because he's got kind of those big kind of peepee eyes.
He does have big peepers.
Yeah.
Peepers. All right.
Actually, I'm changing it to Peepers.
All right. I'd buy Peepers. He'd be a fun
Peepers.
character like that if he had the big jacked out eyes. Although
Yeah.
I do think one of my favorite
shave his head.
One of my favorite movies of his, and I've liked quite a few of his movies, is Bedazzled. I think it's one that not a lot of people give the credit it's due. It's a very touching and hilarious movie. It's very good. Go back and rewatch it. It's well worth your time.
All right. I'm still an Encino Man and Mummy guy myself.
George of the Jungle. Come on.
Yeah.
The Mummy is by far the best one, but
Mummy's one of the best movies of the 90s.
They're great action adventure movies for sure. Probably one of my top favorites. No, I don't think I ever saw the third one. I don't know that CGI Scorpion King.
It's the one with the Rock.
Yeah. No, that was the second one.
Was it?
The second one was the Scorpion King with the Rock. But they had the CGI Scorpion King at the end that was really bad.
Oh,
the third
one's terrible.
Third one's the Curse of the Dragon Emperor with Jet Li.
And then the fourth one is the one that's just the Rock.
There's no fourth one. Oh, well, there's a spin-off Scorpion.
There's a Scorpion King. Yeah.
That's a separate thing. It's a prequel. To show how he became the Scorpion King.
Okay.
And then there was a bunch of other straight to DVD sequels to that. So.
All right. I don't know.
I actually acted in
that pick there, but
I acted. Oh, you can do a 6 Degrees of Separation with Brendan Fraser and me. 6 Degrees of because I was in a movie acting with Maria Bello, who played his wife in the third Mummy movie because Kate, what's her face, didn't come back. Rachel Weisz. So so me and Kevin Bacon are only one actress removed. And by Kevin Bacon, I mean Brendan Fraser. I was thinking of 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
6 Degrees of Brendan Fraser.
That's right. I got one. There's 1 degree. Or 2, I guess. So one would be direct.
I feel like he should have got a bigger character than Peeper, but Peeper's what I got.
I think Bolivar Trask would be a good choice. Give him a tragic backstory. He played very well.
Bolivar Trask. Yeah. All right. Does Bolivar Trask have a tragic backstory?
Give him one for the sake of the movie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, in the other movies, they just made him Peter Dinklage, so you assume he doesn't like people because they make fun of him being small. But they don't really flesh that out or go into anything.
Bolivar Trask hates mutants, not people.
I know, but he has a reason to be a shitty person or monster. They don't really explain why he hates mutants. He's just a genius. Young Fraser would have been a great Rick Jones. And that's a Spider-Man villain.
Chameleon?
Yeah, right with that.
You have to be able to do a cast him as a Spider-Man character. Brendan Fraser would play a great Dr. Octopus.
He would be a good Doc Ock, actually, if they were doing more.
Friggin' right he would. Sure. It's easier to cast people as Spider-Man because the X-Men are also weird and stuff. It's actually kind of.
I mean, Spider-Man villains are generally like, an old guy that's a Vulture, like a fat guy that's Doc Ock. Like, there's normal-looking people in there, so that makes sense.
Or the Beyonder, Murphy says. I actually think they're going to cast Keanu Reeves as the Beyonder.
No. They already cast him.
As the Beyonder.
No, they already cast the Beyonder. It's Jeffrey Wright. He's the Beyonder in the What If series.
That's the Watcher.
What do you say? Oh, you said the Beyonder.
The Beyonder.
I can't imagine.
He's in Secret Wars.
Right? I can't imagine them casting Keanu Reeves as the Beyonder. There's a rumor that the Beyonder is going to be another. There's a rumor the Beyonder is going to be another variant of Kang, and that's what the whole multiverse of Secret Wars leading into the Kang dynasty is going to be.
Oh, I thought he was just going to work with an alternate Kang. Like it would just be the Beyonder and like Immortus or something.
Yeah, it could just be another
Scarlet
Kang.
Centurion.
They certainly
Could
changed
be.
things around, or Ramen Tut, or Iron Lad,
Ramatut.
or
Ramatut, yeah.
a bunch of other people.
He's rumored to be the villain in Fantastic Four movie, I think.
Well, if they're trying it all to Kang, then that would make sense.
Yeah, it would. All right. There it is.
All I need now is for you to contact your students, Professor.
Homework is to watch episode this next part of the series, Sanctuary Part 2. I believe that is episode 5 of the new series. Is that right?
4
of the new of season 4. So episode 4, season 4, Sanctuary Part 2, in which we see the culmination of this storyline. I don't believe there's any new big characters that pop in besides the ones that we've already established, but we'll probably find out who Gambit was looking for, and that should be fun.
We don't know who he's looking for. He was
No, we don't, but I assume we'll find out in the next one.
Yes, we do. He says he's going to see his buddy Byron. He was there to see Byron Callie.
Did he say that?
Yeah.
I thought
he said him up. He's on the computer messing around, and he looks him up. He's like, "Oh, Byron's there, Byron."
But
Callie.
he didn't seem that interested in talking to Byron when he met him. So, like,
that's the only reason he's there, Byron. They just shoehorned that part in. I'm telling you, that's it. That's it.
I don't think I even think that's right.
Buddy Byron. That's right.
I don't think so. But anyway, we'll find
You'll
out.
be wrong next. We'll
hey,
prove on.
I can be wrong anytime. You show me a time, I'll be wrong in it. That's for sure.
All right. Well, you can support the show at patreon.com/X-Men Review Show. You can contact us at xmenreviewshow@gmail.com. You can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. And you can find our audio-only version wherever you get your podcasts. We're on like 30 different platforms. We're everywhere. Please like, review, and subscribe. Give us some reviews, people. I mean, there's a lot of you out there. I know it. I see the data. You love us. Tell us about it. We are a proud member of the United Federation of Pod, and we love you, might I add.
That's fair.
Proud member. Yeah. There we are. Our gorgeous federation there, designed by Andre. That logo.
Yeah, it's a nice logo.
So, Andre.
I love that intro so much. It looks like it should be part of the Spider-Verse movie. So good.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. The second one of that.
Oh, yeah. Very pumped. They already got toys out with, like, the...
spoilers.
Yeah. What? Well, Spider-Man 2099 and some of those characters.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm super excited. I'm a huge Spider-Man 2099 fan. And Oscar Isaac doing his voices. Mwah.
Yeah.
So
it should be great.
Yeah. A new episode just dropped last week. Just on December 30th, that was my talk with Frank Forrestal, who is a local painter. I think I discussed this before, but that first episode dropped. Very great. We talked for a long time, so we ended up breaking into 2 episodes. I've been posting a lot of stuff on my social media for graphic histories about some of his artwork and some of his film work. I just posted today or tomorrow. I posted on my personal page today the movie, the short film I did with him way back in the way, Jack and Jill, which is really fun and well worth watching. It's about 20 minutes, but it's very good. Very, very good.
And Adam Sandler, Jack and Jill. That's the greatest movie ever made.
Actually, when we filmed that movie, it was called Jack and Jill. And then when he was editing it to put it out for theaters, like in film festivals and stuff, sorry, that movie came out. And he changed it to Jack and Jill, so JACKENJILL, one word. So Adam Sandler forced
Smart move. You don't want to be associated with that Sandler movie.
No, but that's also very good. And so part 2 will be out in 2 weeks' time, and then after that, I'll be talking to I think David Cullen, who was a writer of for Marvel Comics back in the day, and wrote some issues of What If.
Very cool. That's a good get. Very exciting. All right. Well, also check out Hold Up, a movie podcast with me and Murphy, who's been chiming in here tonight. Our next one's on... we just did an episode on parties. we reviewed Animal House, House Party, and Shit House. Only one of those movies holds up. I'll put it that way.
Shit
I won't
House? There's a
spoil
movie
it.
called Shit House?
Yeah, don't go see it. It's not Shit House.
Who
It was
suggested that? You guys really like as a movie fan, you're
Murphy. That was a
insulting me.
Murphy.
You're
Murphy
insulting
gets
me with
quite
your
obscure
choices
with
for
his
these.
Look, we're not picking the obvious hipster picks, Andre.
Well, you should. I'd be more interested in listening to that podcast than what you thought of Shit House. I'm glad you guys are having fun over there.
You're having fun over there.
Good.
Murphy
Good.
said he's watching Doctor Strangelove tonight. That's good.
Well, Murphy, you better love it because it's a masterpiece.
All right. Yeah, well, we'll see. KBBL podcast. Check that out as well. Every Friday, we talk about The Simpsons, me, Baker, and Francis. It's been fun so far. We're on episode 7, The Call of the Simpsons, this Friday. So that's
that's the woods one where they go to the woods. And is that the one?
Yeah, we just reviewed. Yeah, we just reviewed the Moaning Lisa, which is the Bleeding Gums Murphy episode. That got our highest mark so far. That's a pretty great episode.
That's a solid episode.
It's got a lot of heart. It's not the funniest episode by any means, but it's got a ton of
heart's
heart.
good.
Yeah. Trivial Debates, check that out as well, of course. The next one's on reality shows. I won't be on that one. It'll be great. Check it out. Jaemeel's hosting, so you should tune in for that reason alone. Also, check out Live Long and Podcast, our Star Trek brand, where we have many shows, including my Locutors of Trek brand over there, where we get into deep dives on things and play some tunes sometimes. We review Star Trek comics. We do lots over there. There's also the Command Division, where they review the shows. They're doing Deep Space Nine at 9 in 4 minutes from now. Who Mourns for More, and they're going to be talking about. Check that out. And also the Ops Division, Star Trek Radio Theater. I'm working on the next one, which is going to be we're going to turn a radio theater from these Lower Decks comics.
Oh, fun.
It's going to be fantastic. Fun. Yeah. So it's something that's never been done in audio form before, so we'll have some fun doing that. And also the Science Division that I control with an iron fist as well, where we launch probes, some greater distances than others. And we also do trivia and debates. We figure it out. We figure out the science of everything. So,
you got it.
Yeah. And also check out the Hellbound podcast.
I have to listen to that one. That one's out of all the ones that are in our little cadre here. I feel like that one is the one that speaks to me the most. So I'm gonna have to. Well, just because I'm not as big a Star Trek fan as you guys are. I am. I do like Star Trek, and I got to catch up. But horror movies are my jam. So.
And also check out over at Super Mater Brothers we have as well, where they review reality shows and things like that. But we also just did the first Merry Mater Marvel Society there last Tuesday when we were off on this show. We did a year-end review of all the MCU offerings from 2022, and that was a lot of fun. I kept Dave and Jaemeel on their toes, I think. We talked about the hits and misses 2022 MCU. Nice. We had an award ceremony at the end. It was a great time. Go watch it. That's a fun show. And no, Sam, I don't want to go on Survivor.
Well, thanks, guys, and welcome to 2023.
I want to go on that trivia show that I don't think I'm going to get on.
Yeah, I haven't got a call either, so maybe not me either.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they don't like us, but that doesn't make sense.
Oh, there's still hope. Well, thanks, everybody. I look forward to another year of podcasting with you guys and tuning into the show, and hope you had a wonderful season and bigger, brighter things in 2023.
Still no reason to pack up and leave.
Catch you next time, everybody.
Next time.
1, 2, 3.